Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint a little dragonfly on a daffodil. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'll show you step by step how to do it from start to finish. I've got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's man chat tonight, so if you've got questions while I'm painting, you can ask those and I'll try to answer. Let's get started. Alrighty, so first off, I just have to apologize for the really bad photoshopping skills exhibited in the reference photo. I have it zoomed up on my computer now, and I'm like, oh wow, I cut parts of the wings out, and yeah, did all kinds of fun stuff to it. So, all right, we'll work around it. It's fine. I'm going to be using a 9x12 inch Fredrix canvas mixed media board. I haven't done anything to it tonight, but if you wanted to, you could start out with some turquoise. That's going to be our first step tonight. Go over our paints really quick. I've got carbon black, burnt umber, burnt sienna, nope, not doing quinacridone tonight. Cadmium yellow light, cadmium yellow medium, and Indian yellow hue, cadmium orange, quinacridone magenta, Dioxazine purple, which one? Ultramarine blue, Phthalo blue green shade, and Phthalo green blue shade. So you could use cobalt or Phthalo turquoise or cobalt teal instead of that. We just need kind of a turquoisey leaning green here, and if you don't have these exact colors or the yellows, all these yellows, you can just use what you've got that's similar. That'll be fine. I'm just kind of grabbed the full range here since we're going to be doing yellow. What? Oh, Mona, happy birthday, Mona. Yay. Our mod and longtime friend Mona. It's from all the way from Sweden. It's a small world. We're just chatting before the show. That's why I'm 5 minutes late. Sorry. Not to blame Mona. It's my fault. I wasn't paying
Mona's
attention to the time.
Mona's fault.
No, it's not. All right, let's get going here. I'm going to start with a large flat or Filbert here. This is the Princeton 6100 series. I'll probably be using a couple of angle brushes for a lot of the details, and then I'll want a couple of smaller rounds for some of the even smaller details. So I'm not going to get too fussy with there's a ton of little tiny details in the dragonfly, but I don't think I'm going to go into that much detail with it tonight. We're just going to kind of hit the basics. So I'm going to make basically phthalo turquoise with the green and phthalo blue here. So maybe a little bit more on the green side, and then I'm going to add a little bit of burnt sienna. That'll make it a little bit more of a natural leaning turquoise, just a little bit less saturated. Let me see. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to start in this corner and get some water on here. I'm also going to spray my canvas with just water here, just really lightly, and spray my paints too to make sure that they stay wet.
I like
Grab
the
a
little
little bit
action
of white. What?
I like the little bottle action you did there. Kind of flung it to the side. And then...
Well, I was kind of showing the side of it because, you can only see from top down. It doesn't really show it. So
and I'll say
really
this one right here that's been professionally painted by the Angela Anderson. Contact me. We'll make a trade with some chocolate.
It has the dubious positioning of being right next to my palette, so it gets the stray random brush stroke every now and then. All right, getting some of the darker color up here, and there's some really good dark area in this photograph, but you could really do whatever color you wanted for the background. What was that? That was a weird howl going on outside of our house. Maybe some coyotes, I don't know. That's what it sounds like.
Or just hummingbirds.
Could be that too. That's probably a better suggestion. Not that we're like that far out. Not like we got them running down the middle of the street all the time or something. We're in Coyote Town, but it's just what it sounds like. pretty sure it's wolves.
Much more exciting and interesting.
Exactly. They're very loud. I don't know if you can hear them on the camera, but
I don't think so.
no, that's good. All right, so am I on camera here? I can't tell. I can't see the.
Yes, you are. Sorry.
Okay.
I didn't check that over. Hey, real quick, what is the name of the other nail polish brand that you're using other than?
This is Starly. Starly, Orly, and KB Shimmer are the new ones, and then OPI is the one that I've been using.
Okay.
But I use the OPI Infinite Shine. I find that it's better than the regular lacquer. So the Infinite Shine has a 3-step process where you use a base coat. Base coat is something new to me with nail things. So, all right, I'm just continuing on here.
Mixing colors.
Mixing more. I probably should have mixed like 3 times more than what I mixed here because obviously I'm running out and having to mix more as I go. I'm not doing anything different with this though. Just kind of mixing more of the same.
Anybody who's just tuned in or is watching us for the first time in the future is like, I thought this was a painting channel.
She's talking about nails.
We talk about everything.
Welcome to our channel. Yes, we're not great about staying on task. Thus the palette cam, so you can see what's happening, even if I'm not always. Yeah, exactly. Not always mentioning it. All right. So just kind of working from dark to light, leaving lots of fun brush strokes here. I wanted it to kind of be a little bit more painterly-like back here. So just kind of adding that. Let's go ahead and go a little bit darker up in this corner again. So not really straying much, just kind of staying blue-green in this blue-green teal range and adding, just various shades to it. And by working kind of my way around the canvas from this corner up and back around, then I can kind of control the wet edge. This area here that I had blended into, I painted over it already, but basically when you're ending an area, see how it's kind of faded up into here? That's easier to blend over if you do that. So like over here, when I first start, I want to start with kind of a soft edge, and then that way when I come back around and blend back into it at the end of the painting, or when I'm getting back to that point, I've got a little bit of a soft area to blend into. It just makes it a little bit easier to hide your edge here where you started and stopped. Okay, getting a little bit more of that turquoisey green. That's sort of that color that we started with, and ideally probably have a little bit more of this mixed up before you start, and then that way you don't have to stop to mix more color like I did. So I would probably make a bunch of this original color and then just add a little touches of more green or more blue to it here and there as you want it, as you work your way around the canvas. So I'm going to get a little bit more of that blue and just do some of the more of the blue turquoise, a little bit more saturated in this area. How's everybody doing tonight? Hanging in there.
Given all that's going on,
Yes.
I think this is a nice little break from
It is.
everything else. So thank you to everybody for joining.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mona and I were just talking about that. Just craziness going on in her area of the world. It's scary. So definitely hearts going out to anybody affected by
All the craziness.
all the craziness, not just in Europe, but seems like we're just getting over, we're starting to get back to normal after pandemic things, and then war breaks out. Just like, really? Okay.
We'll speak the universal language of love.
That's
Art,
right. That's right. Yes.
painting.
Yes. Hopefully you don't get angry about art, although I have had people get angry about it. So, you know, there are art police out there. So, but for the most part, art's
is good.
Non-confrontational.
Like I said before, you're teaching people how to make the world a more beautiful place.
Beautiful place, that's
one
right.
painting at a time.
I like that.
Thanks.
You should put that on the website.
Oh, I should. I should have worn my turquoise because I don't match you or the painting.
My nails and my shirt kind of bridge the gap. My shirt's green, the nails are blue. All right, I'm going to pass this off to you to dry really quickly. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't mention it to you.
I'm not prepared.
Do you need to go get it? I
No,
can
I'll
mess
get
with it a little bit more. Okay. All right, there you go.
That's a big lump of...
Cashmere thinks she's following Mark. She thinks he's coming out there to spend time with her. All right, so I'm going to clean that out really well. And I'm going to put out some more of these paints that I've run out of because I'm going to need them later. So, oops, that's not the ultramarine, that's the Phthalo blue-green shade, which I probably could have just used that on its own and just added a little bit of yellow. So don't feel like you have to have all these colors. You can, as long as you have one of these phthalos, you can pretty much mix the other ones. Like you could use a phthalo turquoise or a phthalo green and add a blue to it, like a ultramarine blue or something like that, to get a little bit more of a blue tint, a little bit more of a teal going. So, there's ways to work around it if you don't have all of these colors. I would say as we're getting going here with the yellows, we're going to be painting over this dark color. So if you have a yellow that is not opaque, and you can usually tell by the bottle if you're using like a heavy body acrylic, it'll show on here, on the golden ones at least, these little black stripes through. And so if you can see them really easily, you know that this is a transparent color or translucent. And sometimes on the back too, this one doesn't have it, but a lot of times on the back there'll be this little scale and it'll show opaque to transparent here. And so this cadmium yellow light is kind of more of an opaque yellow. As far as yellows go, it's kind of more on the opaque side. Most yellows are going to be in your transparent range because they just don't cover very well other colors. So when we get to our daffodil today, we're going to have to add a little bit of white to our yellow, and then we'll probably have to give it a couple of coats. If we want it to be a vibrant yellow, you'll probably have to go over the top, like do your background of the flower with white and then do the yellow on top. So anyhow, if you are new to our channel, we hope you will subscribe and come back. We do these shows twice a week. We're going to be missing this Saturday. Normally we have a Saturday show. This Saturday I'm getting some dental surgery done on Friday, and so Saturday I'll be out of commission. But we will be back on Tuesday for a white still life. So hopefully I'll be able to talk by then. We'll see. I think so. Fingers crossed. Yeah. So next Tuesday we'll be back. We're going to be doing a white still life with a white dove and some white flowers, kind of like a white on white type of situation. And we'll show you how to do some textures, basket textures, and things like that. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. So hopefully you come back for that. But all right, Mark is taking a while to dry my canvas here. I didn't realize I was going to draw it out, so I'll get my chalk out here. And oops, that's a really terrible drawing of cranes. I was practicing it to see if I could draw it last week before the show. Okay, let's see. So for our Dragonfly, what I would suggest is if you're going to draw this for yourself, that you do use a notebook or some sort of a paper to do it. Oh, okay.
Two spots right there that were super wet.
Okay.
So just be careful.
Okay. This look fine. All right, well, I'm not going to have to draw on paper. But anyhow, I would say do it on paper, and then that way, if you want to save your drawing and use it later for another one, you will have your drawing you can trace it onto tracing paper and then transfer the image onto your canvas. And I have information about how to do that on my website if you don't know how to trace. But on the FAQ page, we got a bunch of questions like that answered. Okay, so I'm going to put my dragonfly in this area here. So I want his wings to span basically from here to here. And then I want my what is this?
Flower? Daffodil.
Daffodil, thank you. I completely blanked there for a second. I started the art brain and I got in deep on the right side. I couldn't get out.
Points that time.
What?
So I got the points that time.
You got the points that time, yeah. Okay.
And they're flower points, so they're double for me.
That's true. That's true. It's almost as good as buying them. Okay. Whoops. Fumble fingers today. Okay, so right in here, doing my little. Okay, so that's kind of going to be our daffodil there. So let's see. Your middle part here is going to be about the same width as your petals. So kind of keep that in mind when you're drawing it. I'm going to kind of do a little bit more of a fluted edge here. Bring it down. It's almost like a box shape here in the middle. This part here, it almost makes a box square, and then it comes down. Might make it a little bit smaller here. Maybe bring this down a little bit more there. If I use chalk, then I can kind of erase and adjust a little bit easier. And then coming up about, well, actually a little more than halfway up here, almost to where this comes down right here. This petal is coming out and up. Let me tilt it up just a little bit more. And then all of the petals are going to be attached right here in the center. So they all should go right to the middle there. And this one's coming out there. This one's coming down right here. There's a little stem coming down. You could put whatever flowers you wanted to. If you don't want to do this one, you could do a different kind of. Spring start coming. We're going to be painting lots of flowers this month. I went through and checked my reference photos, and my schedule's out now for the month of March, and all but one of our paintings have flowers in them, so you can tell where my mood was this month. I am ready for the flowers. I just planted my hollyhocks and echinacea, and what else did I plant? Oh, stock and snapdragons. So those are all in the little pots with my tomato seeds. Tomatoes, peppers. So hopefully we'll be having some photos of that soon. We'll see. All right, so there's our daffodil. It looks a little funky. I'm not sure. This one I kind of cut off because it's behind the wing of the dragonfly. I'm going to bring that one out a little bit more. I might bring this one out just a little bit this way, just even though it's coming up that way. I just kind of feel like I want to see it, so I might bring it over a little bit like that. All right, then our dragonfly wings, you can kind of just start out at the middle if you want to, so kind of figure out where your body is going to be. I just kind of placed it right at the tip of this here, so your body's going to be kind of an oval shape, and then you're going to have the head, and I'm going to straighten out the head. It's kind of tilted down in our photos. I'm going to straighten it out so it's kind of more straight onto the petal, and it's just kind of attaching there, but you're not really seeing where it's attached because your wings are in the way. So the wings are going to come out like that, up and back down and back out. And then they just kind of curve back in and attach at the body. Somewhere like that. And then the bottom wings are going to kind of overlap just a little bit and come out around about the same width, and they Well, and these ones are longer than these ones, so I may have to move the body over just a little bit to make it match better. I didn't get it straight on. There we go. And just push it over here. There we go. And then this is going to kind of skirt across down from the body a little bit and then come out to a tapered point. Okay, so there we go. That's our dragonfly. And I think that that's pretty good. I might actually make this a little bit wider than I have it. And yeah, that looks pretty good. Somewhere in there. All right, let's get to painting. So I'm going to grab my smallest filbert here. Well, my hands are covered with chalk. Get some water. I'm going to wipe off some of this chalk that I don't need. This will just help it make it easier for me to see what I'm doing here, because I've got a lot of chalk that I'm moved around. Okay, there we go. Now we can see. A little bit easier there. All right, so like I said, we're going to need to use some white in our background flower. So I'm going to use some white and a little bit of my cadmium yellow medium, but mostly white. I want to keep it fairly bright, and that way it'll cover over this dark green really well for me. Although the dark green will peek through, especially in my dark areas of the petal, so I don't want to cover it completely. I'm going to kind of streak it on like this and let it sort of peek through here and there, that green tint. And that's why I put it on underneath, because I saw that our reference photo had some of that green. And any kind of lighter colors like this, like white will do this too, but yellow especially, that they will pick up the colors in their environment because they're so light. They're almost like reflective, you know. So they will kind of mirror or have tones from the other colors around them. So you'll see in this blue, in your shadows of your, you'll see the blue in the shadows of the yellow flower here. Okay. There we go. I'm going to get a little bit darker, go a little bit darker in this area here. And again, leaving some of that green streaks through. And just kind of doing it like that. I think I really like that green poking through right there. So I'm going to leave that and round that out and just pull back up through. And to get those kind of broken lines, I'm just setting my brush down and flicking like that instead of pulling and lifting. It's a much different effect that you'll get when you're doing your brush strokes. So just when you're ready to kind of let that line break off, just kind of flick it towards where you want it to go instead of pulling it and lifting. I'm going to go ahead and do the yellow just in case any of it shows through. And I'm going to get some of that background green if I can. And use it right where it's kind of attached to the center of the daffodil. Right there, just a little bit. Okay, pick up some more of that yellow. And this time I'm just going to go to the head of the dragonfly there. And since I'm stopping here, I need to kind of try to get that feel of that full line. So I'm going to pull back through and stop just short of that dragonfly there. And then let's do this one here. I'm going to point it up this way a little bit more. There we go. This is pretty much anatomically incorrect, but I don't care. We're just making it up.
I was kind of hoping that you'd
It's just art.
paint the picture I took of that dragonfly when I'm smiling.
Oh, yeah, we need to. That was a good picture. Man, Mark got a close-up macro picture of a dragonfly from the front. It's like totally smiling. It's so cute. It's hilarious. It could be a meme. It really... Do you have it on your phone? I don't even know where it is.
It's on the
It's a couple of years ago that you did it.
Yeah, it's on the Synology for sure.
Okay, there we go. So now it kind of dried a little bit, and I went back through with a little bit of the brighter yellow, and I'm going to get the Indian Yellow Hue and do the same thing and just kind of pop a little bit of that more orangey toned yellow here and there. And this is kind of turning my brush to the side to get those kind of ridges that you see in the petals. So okay, I like it. So this will be, I think this will work pretty well. It's covering up that green pretty nicely. It's peeking through, but I like having that effect. So let me grab some burnt umber and a little bit of my green. Let me get a little bit of the phthalo blue too. And use this to do my stem. And I'm going to go right up next to the flower there and just pull down right there. And then I'm going to get a little bit of the yellow and just try to kind of go in the middle of that. And it'll kind of just make it look like it's got a little bit of a highlight. There we go. All right, we'll let that dry. I might bring that up just a little bit more into that corner there. There we go. Nice. And then again, you can do, other flowers back here if you wanted to before you do your dragonfly, but I think I'm going to keep it simple and just do this flower today. So I'm going to get the Indian Yellow Hue and my orange, kind of mix them 50-50. And then I'm going to get some white and some of my yellow. There we go. And that's kind of bright, so I'm going to get a little bit of the burnt sienna, and that's going to just tone it down, just like the green when we did the background. It's just going to tone it down to a little bit more of a natural color. Okay, there we go. Got a nice color there. It's not dark enough, but I'm going to go ahead and just put it on for now, and we'll darken it up later. So I'm going to kind of, at the bottom of it, just kind of pull up. So you get kind of a little bit of a rounded edge here. So it's going to be darker here on this side, and then the inside of it's going to be all lit up. So I'm going to get some yellow, some more of my white, because again, we need that white to cover that green. If we don't have white in there, it just won't. The white's going to make it much more opaque. So I'm going to mix that into a nice bright yellow orange color. We're going to use that for the inside of our daffodil. All the way down. This whole inside part is gonna get this color. It's kind of a split here, and then it goes back up. And then it comes down almost square. Right there. And these lines that we're seeing in it are pointing down into this right here. So I'm going to want some lines coming through that are pulling down into the middle part of our flower. So as I'm painting this, I'm going to kind of paint it with those lines in mind. And then I'm going to get more of my burnt sienna. And I'm going to come right up here against the edge of it and put in some of that darker orange just to kind of finish off that edge there. And pull down lines of this into, and this green or the orange that we just put on should be dry-ish now. I'm going to widen it out just a little bit. Oh, there's the dragonfly Mark took the picture of. Look at that. He's totally smiling. That's adorable. We definitely need to paint that. I'll have to come up with some wings for him to have so it's not just his face, but yeah, that's great. Okay, widen out the belly there a little bit. There we go. Okay, getting some of that darker color again. I'm going to kind of come up along that edge there and just darken up that edge and then darken up these edges just a little bit and pull down just slightly right there. Okay, and that's about all I'm going to do. I'm definitely going to darken this up a little bit more, though it's still not quite dark enough. But, and also this area here is not dark enough. Yeah, you can see now that I've got these two side by side. You want these two where they meet to be almost the same value. And what by value, I just mean light and dark. You can get yourself or make yourself one of these value finders. And our value in our daffodil is going to be in this area. It's supposed to be like in here. And right now we're in this area, probably, you know, somewhere in here. So we need to darken it up to closer to this area in this little particular spot. And that will, if we have these two in the same value range, in the same darkness range, they'll kind of merge visually and they'll look a little bit better and a little bit more cohesive. Where we want the contrast is like right in here where we have this light and dark meeting up, and that what that does is push back this area that's inside here and make it look like there's an obvious distance there. All right, getting a little bit more of my yellow. This is cadmium yellow light, or cadmium yellow medium. Actually, let's go ahead and add a little bit of cadmium yellow light. And the yellow, or the orange, I mean. And then I'm going to add that in there. Bring it down. There we go. Okay. We'll use a little bit of this orangey yellow just here and there. We already kind of used the Indian yellow hue there, so I'm just going to use it a little bit on my petals. And again, we'll let that dry, and then we'll really go in here and darken up the area where we want it a little bit darker. So let's go ahead and work on our our dragonfly. So I'm going to get the Ultramarine Blue for him and some white. And I think I'm going to make this color maybe a little bit of purple, make this our kind of our undertone for our dragonfly, and then we'll put the other colors on top of this. This will make for a good contrast. And normally I go for like a darker color first, but since we've got such a dark background, I'm going to go ahead and start with this instead. And this has to touch the body there because that's where they're attached. They're not attached down here, so make sure these come up to that little oval that we made of the body. Speaking of, let me go ahead and get the purple, and I'm just going to kind of put that body in with the purple. Widen it out just a little bit right there. And then the head. And I probably did not make... No, that's all right. Just make it a little bit bigger. There we go. Nice. And if you want to check your body size, it's about this length here from the base of the head to the tail should be about the same width as your wing. So from here to here should be about the same as from here to here. So I might bring this out just a little bit more. There we go. And you could curve it. I mean, it doesn't have to be straight either. You know, they curve their bodies. So you've seen pictures of them doing that. I'm going to get the purple and pull it out over the wing a little bit right here. And get more of that base color. And finish up this wing here with that. There we go. I like it. And then this one I'm going to go a little bit more blue. So I'll get a little bit of that phthalo blue. I'm going to do this one with more of the blue. Don't bring that quite as far forward as I have it in the photo, or as I have it in my drawing, I should say. Okay. And it's fine too if you want to leave a little bit of that petal ghosting through. Like I could, you know, take off some of this blue if I wanted the petal to peek through the wings, because, you know, their wings can be translucent. So, you know, that doesn't bother me. If we want to have that showing there, we can. I get a little bit of the darker phthalo blue now. And just kind of darken up where the... Should have come in a little bit right there. Let me see if it's too late to take it off. Get some water. There we go. There we go. Kind of does this dip right there. I kind of took it out. My cat is being so loud right now. She's trying to get Mark's attention, chirping and jumping in his face, and being annoying. She's being needy. Not annoying necessarily, just, or that too, but.
Yeah, she's ventured back into the studio.
Yeah, she
stayed away there for a little while when the dog first arrived.
Mm-hmm. How long have we had him? Over almost 2 years. That'll be 2 years in August. So a year and a half, and she's now decided, okay, I've
Can't beat them.
Yeah, exactly. I've let them know my disappointment. Her passive aggressiveness is not paid off.
It just found her locked out of the studio.
Exactly. Found her in the other room by herself. It's like, well,
This isn't fun.
no. Guess I'll just have to be in there with the ugly dog. Okay. If you do find yourself having to paint over part of your background, just make sure, if you're going around an area like this and you have an obvious line, then you just take it and kind of smudge it out and pull it out into the surrounding area so that it looks like it's kind of been there all along and you meant to do that. Because if you go around it and have a line, and chances are you're not going to be able to mix the exact color that is in your background, but that's okay. Don't spend 3 hours trying to get it exactly the same. Just get it close and then smudge it out, into the surrounding area, and you can't even tell that you did anything. Okay, I'm going to use this and just a wet brush and pull off all this chalk marks and stuff so I can see my finished area here, and helps to see if I need to do anything else, move any petals or anything like that. Okay, looks good. Probably could have made him a little bit bigger, but I'm not gonna fuss. Okay, so I'm gonna get a little bit of the titanium white and a little bit of my glaze and maybe a little bit of pink. So this will be kind of my transparent color that'll be on the tips of the wings here. I've got that blue underneath. I'm going to get enough of the glaze or water if you don't have glaze to make it so that you can kind of see through it pretty easily when you're pulling through over your palette or whatever. I kind of know it's about the right brightness. And I'm just going to kind of pull through that wingtip and just lighten it up. It's a little bit of a diagonal. So and I might pull this way too, just so that it's got kind of a smooth start. There we go. When you're working with this glaze or with water, you kind of, these translucent colors, you kind of have to work a little bit more quickly because they will dry fast and you'll end up with some streaks, but that's okay. If you have streaks, we can smooth them out later. It's not a big deal. Getting some of the blue and green here and lots of white. And I'm going to use that and dab on the edge of my wings there. And go over my transparent area. That'll just kind of help define these wings a little bit better. I think I'm just going to pull it instead of tap it. I didn't like the way it was looking. So let's go ahead and pull a little bit more here and here. And you can see how I'm kind of doing like I did on the petals there and just kind of letting the brush strokes go on kind of lightly so that I'm getting soft blending. I'm dry brushing basically, almost. My brush is wet, but it's kind of doing the same effect where I'm just kind of very lightly adding color. There we go. Okay, and this is about all I'm going to do with these. I'm not going to get super fussy with the wings. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of a shadow here with the purple. And a little bit under here. Again, putting it on very lightly, kind of a light touch, so that it just kind of skims. It's not adding a ton of color. And just make sure that it's really nice and dark, just like what we talked about with the value here. Want the value of where these wings are attached to the body almost the same darkness, and that will blend that visually, make it much more difficult to kind of see where they're, you know, that transition is happening, and it'll look a little bit more natural. And then I can go back in and just add a couple little bright highlights that we intend to be there. There and there and there. So just like 4 little marks there. Okay, I'm going to leave that. I think that's going to be, for now, good. And then let's go ahead and add some more turquoise to the wings down here. So I'm going to start here, not quite all the way up, and just kind of do a little area right here that kind of blends down into my light pink purple area. So right up next to the body and out, but not quite, leaving just a little bit of purple up there. Going a little bit slower with this one, so it's a little bit more beginner friendly. I get to going sometimes and I forget people are watching, painting along. You know, after doing 500-600 videos, however many, it's like I just get on my own little world here sometimes, so I apologize if you've tried to paint along and it has been difficult. I try my best. It is.
You do all right.
Well,
I've seen.
I do
the
better
results.
sometimes than others, so I do recognize that. I'm human. It happens. I get tired. Yeah, we all have a bad day, right? Okay, getting some of the purple, and I left this blue on here, so, or this is the magenta here. Not purple, but making kind of a light magenta purpley color. I'm going to pull up from right here. And I honestly don't mind the blue being in there because it's all kind of in this color family, right? You know, it's all blending one color into another. So I'm just kind of lightly putting this on. If you're getting like a really obvious, really hard line here where your colors are matching, then just wipe your brush off a little bit and blend over that area there, or just add a little bit of that blue back on top over it, you know, so you can always go back in and blend back in the opposite direction over an area if it's not blending for you. So I really like that. That looks really pretty though, with that little pink pop there. It's standing out nicely against our background too. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to let this dry. Before I do it though, I'm going to grab a little bit of the purple and go ahead and do my dark lines for this part of the wing. So kind of a dark line along the top there, and then it sort of splits off where we kind of split off here, and it goes to about right here. So sort of does like that, there and there ish, and yeah, that looks good. I'm going to darken up that a little bit. Okay. And let's get my smaller brush. I'm going to get the round brush. This is a 2 round. And I'm going to get some purple. So while my wings are drying, I'm going to go ahead and work on the body and the eyes a little bit. So I'll get some white. And what am I seeing? I'm going to get brown and purple, burnt umber and purple. and a little bit of the white. So it's going to make kind of a dark gray. I'm going to get a little bit of blue too. Okay. And I'm going to just do my little segments on the body here with this. Every now and then there's like a little line across. Just a few little highlights along the body. Probably made that a little too thick right there, but getting a little bit of green and a little bit of green highlights here. And I'm going to go along the body here and just kind of blend that out a little bit so that it is a little bit lighter along that edge. That'll kind of soften up that transition to the green too. Getting some more of that darker purple. Okay, so just going back and forth. This is just a matter of kind of, we're almost kind of messing it up just to kind of soften up the whole look of it. I just don't want these really hard lines here. I don't like that. So I'm going to take that out. I want those little ridges to be really, really soft. See how they're kind of a little bit less noticeable. They're not super noticeable in our picture. Get a little bit of burnt sienna here. Add it along right here.
So could you do this in metallics or?
Oh yeah, that would be pretty.
Iridescence?
Yeah. If you did it in those, I would just do it the same way and then add the iridescence just here and there a little bit on the top. Iridescents are going to be transparent, so they're not going to cover at all. You won't be able to get good coverage on here. So you'll need to do a, basically have the color underneath that you want your iridescent to be. So, if you want a green iridescent or whatever, then make sure your underneath part of it is green, and then when you put your color on top, it'll just be, you'll have that green underneath shining through. Does that make sense? So that is not dark enough. When I took my chalk off, it took off some of my paint there. Oh no, not good. No. Happens. This was, still pretty wet.
Paint happens.
Well, your paint's not actually going to fully cure for a good 24 hours. So even though it feels dry, it's not fully, fully dry underneath and everywhere. So there we go. Oop, got some green on there. Okay. Again, some yellow. All right, going back to my purpley gray color here. Maybe a little bit of blue, and white, a little bit of purple, a little bit of brown. Doesn't really matter, just kind of trying to make a color that'll kind of work with my background here. And I'm just going to kind of pull some lines across. I really don't want my head being that big, but it's too late now. Getting some of the white. And on the back of the head, I think there's kind of like a triangle. So I'm going to go ahead and sort of do that right there. And then on either side of the eye, I'm going to kind of highlight that area. And that's way too bright, obviously, but we'll get a little bit more blue here. Go over the top. get my black. And just use the black sparingly here to add some random dark spots to my body. All right, and then let's get some green here, some of my turquoisey green, white and light green. And I'm going to bring my wing up over the body a little bit right here. Here and here. Just narrow this space a little bit right here. And then bring my dark part of the wings over the middle part right here and here a little bit. There we go. Just narrowing down that space there a little bit. Okay, and then on the eye, I'm going to get a little bit of white in my transparent. I still had a little bit of blue in there, but that's all right. White and a little bit of glaze. Let's just find a little spot to highlight on either side there. Gonna have those big bulbous eyes. Let me get some pink. I'm seeing some pink in mine. A little bit of pink, a little bit of burnt sienna. I don't want them to look like eyeballs, so make sure that when I do these that they're kind of not like round shapes. I want them to be kind of oblong, and that way they kind of don't look so artificial. Okay, there we go. That looks good. Getting some more of this lighter pink here. Put a little highlight right here where that wing comes across there. And let's go ahead and work on our daffodil a little bit more. About done here. Getting pretty close. So I'm going to get the dark burnt sienna. And I might get some magenta again, just like what we just used over there. Magenta and burnt sienna. I might add just a little bit of orange to it, but I want to keep this color pretty dark. I want it to be, like we said, kind of closer into this range here. So right now we've got kind of that color, so we can add a little bit of yellow to lighten it up. But yeah, that's going to look good. Okay, so let me get a little bit of glaze, and so this will go on a little bit more transparently if I put the glaze. So if I start with a little bit darker color, the glaze will make it more transparent, and then it will go on about the right color that I want it to be. So there we go. So just setting it down and pulling down, it's adding just a little bit of darker color, but not being opaque, so you're seeing the other colors through it. It's not super dark. Okay, looks good. Let's go ahead and dab on a little bit of that color up there at the top. I like it. All right. And then let's pick a color. So I think I'm going to go ahead and use this color and then add a green, a little bit of green to it, and my yellow. So we're going to have the color bouncing down from the orange part of the flower, and then the green from our background, also maybe even showing through. And so mixing that burnt sienna, a little bit of orange, and the green. And we're going to use that. Oh, look at that. So if we use that right there where those two meet, make sure that it's about the same value, darkness, it's going to blend with it a little bit. And just kind of pulling down a little bit. It's going to look worse before it looks better. So you're going to be like, oh, I'm messing it up. But no, you need it dark. So I probably could have done this before I did my yellow, but we didn't. So, we're doing it now. So then I can kind of pull it down through, and if you're getting a really obvious line here, just kind of, you can even use your finger and just kind of rub out that edge because you want it to kind of blend down into your flower a little bit. I'm going to get a little bit more of that burnt sienna, and just like right here, I just want kind of to darken up that area between them. So just a little bit on the bottom and a little bit below. So and see how it's lifting right here? That's because that color was starting to dry. So I need to not touch this part right now. I need to let it dry a little bit. I can do a little bit of this over here. I'm seeing a little bit over here. And always just make sure that I'm going in the direction of these petals, and then that way, if I have any streaks that are left over or something, then we can more easily kind of just incorporate them by adding more streaks on top. We don't have any streaks going opposite our petal shape, so that we have to really work at getting them blended in. This way they're already kind of starting to go in the way that we want them to go. They already look like they're part of our flower. We just have to blend them in a little bit now. So I'm going to get some white and my yellow, and I still had a little bit of this dirty green brown color in my brush, so it's kind of tinting the yellow a little bit more of a natural lemony kind of buttery yellow. That's the color I'm thinking of, more of a buttery yellow. And see, now I can go over that dark area. It'll still show through a little bit, but be a little bit softer, a little bit more natural looking. Just leave a little bit of those streaks showing. Okay, I'm going to get some of the brighter yellow, go back this way with it. There we go. All right, so that petal is pretty much done. I might do a little bit of an orangey highlight on it if I can get some orange. Let's get some cadmium yellow, Indian yellow hue here. That'll be a better yellow to use. A little bit of that plus some white, so it's got a little bit more of a golden tint. Use a little bit of that on this petal here, coming down. There we go. Okay, and then on this one, let's go ahead. It looks like a hot mess right now, but you'd be surprised at how quickly it's gonna look, but good. So we've got that dark down now in there, so we can just go right up into that dark area with some of our yellow and just leave a little bit of it showing, but streak through it. Okay. Trust me, when you do this, it can be scary when you're doing those dark areas. It can really look, because it does look like you're kind of messing it up, but you really have to have these dark areas for the rest of it to have the right intensity of color. Otherwise, it's going to look a little bit flat. So just trust the process. We'll get you there. It's just gonna have to be kind of brave. You'll be glad you did it. I promise. All right, getting a little bit of that turquoise in my yellow. Making kind of a greenish color with some white. I'm going to use the greenish color in this one to highlight my flower. We don't know what's happening in the picture with this one because it's behind our flower, but we're just going to guess and give it some of these same colors and hope for the best. I'm going to get some of the bright yellow and go along here with that. Look a little bit brighter. This one's kind of in the light. This one also. And then where we're getting right up next to the dragon, I keep wanting to say butterfly. Dragonfly. You're just going to have to be kind of careful and just set it down and pull this way with it. And then if you do get over the wings, we can give them another cleanup touch here at the end. There we go. Nice little highlights. I'm making a little bit more saturated than is in the photograph. A little bit more bright. In the photograph it's a little darker all together, but just adding a little bit more color. There we go. Pretty orangey yellow in the inside here. My streak's going down towards this area, and then I'm going to use some of that highlight color just a little bit to go over the top of some of these, just very lightly. I don't want to overdo and cover all of my dark area, but I do want a little bit of that highlight in there. It's not all dark. Maybe a little bit more of the saturated orange. Yeah, I like it. Okay, and then let's get some of that orangey. Let's get a little bit of white. Orange and Indian yellow hue with white. Maybe a little bit of burnt sienna. And we'll put a little highlight on the tip, right on that shadow area. So that'll kind of highlight that area, even though it's dark, it's still got a little bit of light touch in it. Let me get a little bit more of that darker orange going right up under it. There we go. I like it. And we can put a little bit of this streaking down from the top on the inside. And I've got a little bit over the top, so I'm just going to tap it right there. pretty. Okay, I'm just kind of looking to see if there's anything I missed. I'm going to go a little bit darker right along that edge right there. Light's coming from this way. And I feel like I could probably be a little bit darker on my petals down here too. But let me see if I can do it without having to paint over everything again. I'm going to use some of that orange, just a shadow right there. Okay, that's good. I like it. Let's get my liner brush here. Let me get my white. How you doing, honey? Being awfully quiet tonight.
I'm anxious.
Why?
Because of what happened last week after the show. I don't want to repeat.
What happened last week?
I go to sit down to watch the greatest show ever.
Oh.
And there's another documentary about Abe Lincoln.
Right.
I mean, he's a nice guy and all that. And I think,
he did some good things.
He did a lot of good things. But what is there to say that we haven't already said like 1,000 times before?
I like Abe Lincoln. I would have watched that, but I didn't want to watch it first because you were mad. So
just on principle.
Right, exactly. I was in solidarity with you. It's like, well, I guess I need to be upset about this, so I won't be watching that. I think on a better day, if it wasn't preempting your Oak Island, you probably wouldn't have had a problem with Abe Lincoln's documentary.
True, you can watch whatever, but just no. Come on. There's a lot of junk on TV you could preempt.
That's right.
And you had to pick Oak Island.
That's true. That's true. It's not fair. Well, they already had you hooked, though. That's the thing. They already had you coming to their show on that day. So
I was like, surely Abe Lincoln didn't dig on Oak Island, did he?
I wouldn't be surprised. The Aztecs have done it, the Templars, the Romans. I mean, why not Abe Lincoln? He might have. You never know.
That could have been his boot they found.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Sorry, guys. That's that part of the show. All right, so I'm using this very light turquoise. Mixed up some light pink too and kind of mixed the two together. So it's sort of a light purplish, pinkish color. I don't know. And I think I'm just going to kind of flatten my brush out a little bit and use it to just build some little cells here and just kind of dab in, how they have little cells. I'm gonna try to do this without getting too meticulous. You can go in here and really do every single little one if you want to, but we don't have time for that tonight. Mark's anxiously awaiting Oak Island. Okay, we got it. Okay. 40 minutes. Okay, how many can we do in 40 minutes? Let me get on.
You have 10 minutes.
10 minutes? Oh, I thought you said 40.
What? I would never say 40.
Okay.
Because your 10 minutes will turn into 40.
Okay.
So, yeah, we do have 40 minutes. We know how you are.
Me.
Oh, I'm finished. Oh, yeah. Oh, well, just one more thing.
Just more.
Okay, let me sign it. And, oh, yeah, here's something else I see. And
right.
Here is I'm talking about my website and stuff. Oh, here's another thing. Now I'm really done.
Maybe I may have, yeah. My folks were calling me out on that when we were doing finishing up my $10 level folks when we were working on this. Because I got done with the flowers and then I signed it. And then I started working on the house on this part and added in a bunch more highlights. And they're like, oh, okay, well, we'll be another 20 minutes now. I'm like, yeah. That, by the way, was our $10 level Patreon thing. Little shameless plug in there. And speaking of that one, we've got some really fun videos on TikTok right now. We've just started on TikTok, so if you are on that platform and want to help us out, you can join our TikTok family and whatever. I don't know how that works, but subscribe. Do you follow? I think you follow. I don't know. I'm new to it, but it's actually pretty fun, and we've been putting up some really fun little short videos. What? Oh, yeah. There we go. Yeah, I have literally 100 followers on there. So there we go. But yeah, so there's one of that one there. We got all kinds of stuff going on. I showed my nail polish collection. It was harder to film those than I thought it was going to be. I was planning on doing more with that, but it just didn't pan out. So maybe in future, but I can figure out how to film those little nail swatches are not easy to keep a hold of and hold a camera. It just wasn't quite working for me. Let me get a little bit yellow here. I'm going to go ahead and put a little gold on my wings here. That might be a little too yellow. Let me get some of this turquoise here. And yeah, there we go. We're just adding some little dots and dabs. I'm not being literal with this, really. I'm just kind of seeing sort of the general areas where I'm seeing some like fun details and then trying to kind of, put a few little things in there. So this is more stylized Dragonfly than realistic today. But I like that kind of style. So it's fun to do these kind of a little bit more approachable too, I think. It's not so, I think when people see realistic, they think, oh, I can't do that. It's like automatically you kind of get a brain block. But you see this kind of painting, you're like, oh, well, I could do that though. Even though it's the same type of brush strokes and the same, it's just a little bit different details in it. But I think these can be fun to kind of start with when you're a beginner. So we'll do it a little bit more kind of fun style this time. All right, I'm getting there. I'm trying to dab in a few more little details in here. And if you notice, what I'm doing is I'm just, trying to mirror what I'm doing. So I'll do one on one side and do it on the other side. Because what can happen is like you get sort of tunnel vision if you get too far in and you have too many details. And then you go to do it on the other side, you kind of forget what you've done or, where you put it. So I just go back and forth with, very short bursts of activity. So that way I'm not forgetting, so do a couple here, a couple there, go back and forth. And then that way I won't miss out or get all the way out here and get this whole wing done and then try to remember what I did or what colors I used. And that kind of thing. So you've already got the color on your brush. Just do it on both sides and switch back and forth. Okay, we're getting there. Let's go ahead and put some stuff in on this area right here. Fill in this part. And I'm tilting my brush too in the same direction so that my dots are going in the same direction. So they're kind of pointing in towards all I'm doing is tapping my brush, but I am pointing it in the direction that I want the dots to lay down, because they will kind of form a pattern. Okay, nice. Get some of the white, and I'm just gonna dab along the edge here with some white. define that edge a little better. I find doing these little dots is a little bit more accessible too than trying to do a long straight line. So just kind of, you know, these dots are also kind of a way to break it down and make it a little bit easier to manage. Just lots and lots of dots. And let's go ahead and kind of put some dots in this little area here too. And try to kind of maintain the same pressure so that they all kind of are around the same size, or, you know, I mean, if you want them bigger, you can press down a little harder, obviously. I'm going to get a little bit of the blue, like a medium blue here, and go in here and do some dabs with that. Oops, that turned out to be brighter than I thought, but that's okay. Just going to go with it. Okay. He just looks like he's got a little freckles all over. But this is a way of doing it without having to paint in all these little tiny cells that are in here. Kind of break it down into dots. It's a little bit easier. All right. I like it. Let's put some darker dots. Let's try it again. Tried that earlier. There we go. Darker dots. There we go. So we got the ultramarine blue here. Maybe a little bit of phthalo blue in there too. Who knows? Okay. Put some lines through here. It's starting to take shape. I like it.
So I wasn't really paying attention. Are you doing the wingtips green, or are you just doing them like that?
They're green because they were see-through. So I'm leaving them.
Oh.
Yeah. The background color of the photo that I took this from was a bright green.
I
so
see.
that's why
They're
they were
clear.
bright green. Yeah, they're clear.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why I kind of did them the way I did.
I can
But
see
you could do the
clearly
green.
now.
You could do the green if you wanted to. I mean, I don't mind the green. It's pretty. So, all right, I think pretty close. I still feel like I want to go a little bit darker here in this area. So I'm going to get a little bit of that burnt sienna. Try to get it darker. Come on. And just going to put it dark, down, dark, and then kind of brush around it to blend it in a little bit. Okay, better. And then another thing you can do on the wings now that they're in here, we can take some blue and some glaze, maybe a little bit of our darker blue, and just glaze in over the top of our dots and add some shadows and things in our wings. So like right in here where they attach to the body, they might be a little bit darker in around these areas where the lines are. They could be a little shaded. And this is, again, just kind of transparent color going over it. So you're just tinting it. You're not changing the ultimate pictures that you've already done, or the, you know, dots that you've already done. I'm going to add a little bit more of the bright right here. So I see some really bright right here and here. And right in here. Okay. And then right here. Here. Okay, and then on my flower, now that everything's dry and we're all good, now I can go back in with my bright yellow on its own and just add some pops of like really bright yellow. It'll be opaque now that we've got our first layers down, that yellow, that white underneath. So now we can get some really bright yellows in here. And our photograph doesn't have a ton of the bright yellows, but I like them, so I'm going to add them in. You don't have to if you don't want to. But I just want a little bit brighter. Just in a few places. Save them for the most impact, so you know you want to put them where you know they're going to really bring that color towards us. I'm going to get a little bit of my Indian yellow hue with that orange and this bright cadmium yellow light. And use it on the inside right here. A little bit of just yellow, just cadmium yellow light, or cadmium yellow medium, I mean. There we go. Just streaking it right in there. Getting some white here with my orange. Just very, very sparingly here, just to kind of give a little bit of highlight there. And now that went on a little heavy, so you can get a little bit of the darker color and then just kind of brush over it. Blend it in a little bit better. Get the darker color and come up opposite. All right, let's stop there. Yeah, that's fun. All right, I'm gonna sign it. Pop my brushes in the water. And I after the show, I always clean out my brushes with soap and water. So make sure that, I know I don't mention it, but make sure that you're doing that with your brushes. With acrylics, you don't want to let your paint dry in the brush. It'll ruin your brush. So it's not like oil paints or watercolors where you can leave them and wash them later. You gotta wash them right away with acrylics. Okay, I'm gonna use some, actually I think that yellows might be too bright down here. I'm gonna get some of this light blue. What you doing, hon?
I'll fix my map.
Okay.
Stuck in the wheel of the chair. Sorry. Don't mind me. We have one general painting question.
Okay.
It's not a kernel one, it's a general one. So which,
Not a major.
No, not a major one, just general.
Okay,
But
got
I
it.
guess general is more than major. That's weird. So which video would be a good one to learn about more glazing techniques?
Ooh, that's a good question. Okay, let me think. I know the black and white elephant one with the baby and the mom. That one had some glazing in it. That would be a good one because it's just basic black, glazing. There is glazing. I did go over that in my beginner series. So the video that had the landscape with the trees and the foggy mist, that one, I talk about scumbling and glazing in that one. I'm trying to think of any of the other ones that I did on the beginner series. I feel like...
I know you did like the cheetah you glazed.
Yeah, but that one's that's not a public one. Trying to think. I don't know. I've got so many videos anymore. Let me think. Give me a second here. I'm looking at my recent videos to see if any of them are...
Well, while you do that, did you talk about Patreon while I was out?
I didn't.
So right now it's obviously at the beginning of March as we record this video. And so patreon.com/AngelaFineArt. You can sign up. You get the whole month. They bill on the calendar month. But anyways.
The hummingbird one would be good. The background is a lot of glazing. Go. Keep going.
That's okay. So we get different levels. There's a $2 level where you get traceables for all the videos on YouTube that we do.
Mm-hmm.
The $5 level, you get that. Plus you get a bonus video and the traceable that goes with that. And then the $10 level, you get all of that plus a challenge image. And so she showed the challenge image. Did you?
I did. I showed the challenge image. I didn't show the bonus video. One. That's the bonus video for last month.
Of February.
Yeah. And you get one of these and one of these. This is the $10 month. This is the $5 month. But you get... Right, $10 you get both. And you get all of the past ones too. Right, it's not just for this month. It's for all the previous ones we've done. So you get these plus the new one that'll happen this month.
It's what? How many years?
2017 is when we started.
So we were 5 years.
I think there's about 100 videos.
Yeah. 5
total,
years
something
for
like that.
$5. Seriously?
Yeah, and they're the longer videos. So they're at least like 3 to 5 hours for the bonus videos, and the challenge images tend to be a little bit more difficult, and so those run about 6 to 10 hours, something like that, depending on what the subject is. So if you're interested in that. And then also just for the $2 level, there's traceables, so that you can, I'll draw this out after the show and have an outline so that you can just take that outline, put it on your canvas, and I would paint your background first and then trace on your image, and then you're good to go and you can fill it in. It's not cheating, I promise. It's just a shortcut. You're still painting it. There's no reason to feel guilty about it. I know people try to make it seem like it's not real art or whatever if you use a traceable, but I know major fine artists that use traceables or that outline things. They put, you know, I mean, like it's just a tool. That's all it is. It's not painting it for you. It's not, you know, it's just a tool to give you a faster start. You know, you can draw it if you use a grid method. Why do that if you don't have to and you just want to get to the fun of painting? You know, yeah. So there's my little public service announcement for Traceables. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching with us tonight. We appreciate you, as always, hanging out with us live and those who watch the replay too. But it's a lot of fun. So we appreciate you, and we hope you guys have a great rest of your week. We will see you next week. Those who are part of my Patreon crew, we will be doing a show on Thursday, so I'll be doing that. And then Friday, I've got my little surgery thing, so I'll be back next Tuesday after that. And fingers crossed, we'll see. as long as I can talk. So, yeah. All right. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.